Hello and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. Today is podcast number 1709. The topic is training and the title is, Are Your Efforts in the Right Order? When people want to maximize their results, when they want to be the best. So when I work with clients who want to get elite totals in powerlifting, they want to get pro cards in bodybuilding or aesthetics, like bikini, wellness, figure, physique, men's physique, classic physique, bodybuilding. So all those categories. When they want to be the best, they tend to focus their efforts in the following order. They tend to focus on training. How can I get like the best program? What is the best? Like, what's the perfect program? What's the perfect exercise? Just like, how do I make everything perfect in my training? They then would think about supplements. Now, supplements can be legal or illegal. So they often think, if somebody wants to get lean, they think, what are good fat burners? If somebody wants to build muscle, they say, what can I take that'll help me build muscle? So it's training. They want to maximize training. They want to maximize supplements. And then they think of nutrition. That seems to be the order. Now, I had a former client of mine. We've touched base and worked together on and off here and there. And they reached out recently. They were switching over into being more aesthetic focused. They were a personal trainer, and I've helped them with strength-based stuff and some aesthetic stuff, but they were finally wanting to really get into aesthetics. And they said, "Hey, I want to be muscular and lean, be ripped all year round." And I was like, wouldn't we all? But I was like, I'll help you. I said, okay. I said, well, what are you thinking? Because I know what they look like, but I want to know what they want to look like, So they sent me photos, and I was like, dude, these are all pros. They're all on a ridiculous amount of drugs. So if you want to look like that, we can do it, but you're going to have to take a lot of drugs. And it's not a small amount, like $500 or more a month. This is a huge expense. And they said, really? And I said, yeah, what do you mean, really? I was like, they're on a lot of stuff. And we were kind of talking about that, and it brought up, I had seen a post recently by Stan Efferding. If you don't know who he is an IFBB pro. He also had world records in powerlifting. So he's been the top of both of those sports. And he was recently on a podcast, and he was talking about the drug protocol he used when he was getting his IFBB pro card. So he was taking testosterone. I won't go too far into some of these names, but I just want to say the names so that way you get an idea of the picture of what was happening. So he was taking testosterone every other day. He was taking a drug called Masteron, Tren, Winstrol, and growth hormone. And he was taking those at really high frequencies every other day or every day. And he wasn't taking, in the world of, bodybuilding and whatnot, he wasn't taking large amounts at all. But taking those alone, like GH, like growth hormone alone, is very expensive. The other ones, they have their, differing degrees of expense. But it's the compounding compounds. He, taking testosterone, Masteron, Tren, Winstrol, growth hormone. And then a lot of professionals will they'll also take insulin. They'll run some other things here and there. Then you have your protective supplements. Whatever you might take if you need to do estrogen control. There's digestive enzymes. There's a lot of other components that you would want to take, like maybe liver support, kidney support, stuff like that. There's a lot that would go into the supplement components. So what was interesting, though, is then when I asked him, we talked about the drugs, we talked about training and stuff. I said, well, what are you even eating? You want to get bigger. You feel like you're too small, so you're worried about training, you're worried about all these drugs. Meanwhile, I don't even know if you're going to be able to afford to have this stuff because it's so damn expensive. But I was like, what are you even eating? And they said they told me their diet and they're only eating around 2,400 calories a day. And I was like, what are you doing, man? Come on now. I was like, you're not eating anywhere near enough to actually grow. So here you are, we're talking about training, you're talking about supplements, and damn, dude, at this point in the conversation, we find out you're only having 2,400 calories. I was like, we've missed the boat. This is by far that is what we should have started talking about. The reason why I didn't talk about it was because in my mind I was like, of course we're doing that. So we were talking, and at 2,400 calories, he just wasn't going to be eating enough to grow. So he was hyper focused on training and supplements, but he wasn't even eating in a manner that was going to support the benefits and the fulfillment of the training and the supplements. And this is very common. So I asked him if I could make a podcast about this, and he said yes, because he's nice. But I said, this is something that everyone does. And I was talking to him about his clients and stuff. And we were saying, yeah, damn, we fall into the traps ourselves. But I was like, you know better than this, man. I was like, you got to get your food in place first. We have to have our food first. And that's where everyone messes up. You don't grow from training. You don't grow from drugs. Training and supplements, they stimulate and they support the growth process. But that's not actually what you grow from. What are muscles actually made of? Food. If you want to grow bigger muscles, even repair the muscle you have. If you want to get stronger, if you want to get leaner, all of that has to originate and start with food. In the same interview where Stan Efferding was talking about his drug protocol, he also said that he was eating 6 to 7 meals a day. He was eating 3.5 to 4 pounds of sirloin steak, 600 grams of carbohydrates. Now, that's not weight. If you're not in America, you're used to hearing grams in regards to weight. Americans, we don't use that. But so when I say 600 grams of carbs, it wasn't like he was weighing out 600 grams worth of weight of, say, rice. He was eating so much rice that he was getting 600 grams of carbohydrates. Like the nutrition fact label, how there might be like 10 grams of fat, 5 grams of protein, 20 grams of carbs. He was eating enough food that it was leading to 600 grams of carbohydrates. That's an enormous amount of food. 3.5 to 4 pounds of meat a day. I've done diets where I ate 2.5 pounds of chicken a day and damn near hated every second of it. So I actually ate 2.5 pounds of chicken every single day, and it was a huge pain in the butt. And I actually did that during a diet phase. But I did it. I did it for 10 months. So eating 3.5 to 4 pounds of meat is absolutely insane. That alone is going to be the hardest challenge, let alone trying to train or do anything else in your life on top of trying to eat 3.5 to 4 pounds of meat every day. Then 600 grams of carbohydrates. So what was most important and what Stan was saying in the podcast was the focus was on the nutrition. The nutrition was the driver in the sense of it regulated what you could accomplish. You need to train to have the stimulus towards what your goal is, whether that's building muscle, fat loss, strength gains, whatever it might be, sport performance. So you need to train to create the stimulus. You want to have the proper supplements in place to support the process. But nutrition is how everything actually comes to be. It's the driving force. It's where it originates. It's the thing that matters the most. And that's where we have to think of the normal focus is training, supplements, nutrition. We have to flip the script. We have to focus on nutrition first. Now, I feel like I've been pushing this concept in our recent training podcasts. I know that I'm talking about nutrition when it's a training podcast topic, but I just really want to freaking hammer home how serious it is. And it's so prevalent that people look past food because it's the harder thing to manage. It's easier to kick your ass in the gym 4 to 5 times a week, an hour a day, even 2 hours a day. But what are you doing the other 22 to 23 hours of the day? That's where nutrition comes into play, and it's a hell of a lot harder to regulate 20 some hours of the day compared to 1 or 2, right? We'd all rather suffer very intensely for a very short time. That's training. Than we would to have a low level suffer all of the damn time, which is nutrition, if you view it as suffering. But that's what we want to focus on. It's not the perfect program. It's not the perfect exercise. It's not the perfect combination of drugs that is going to allow you to make the greatest progress. And those things certainly aren't going to be the limiters of your progress. The limiter is going to be nutrition. Calories, making sure you have the right amount of calories for your goal, and protein, making sure you have the right amount of protein within those calories. Those fulfill the stimulus of training, and that's what your drugs and supplements can help maximize the effectiveness, the usage of, is calories and protein. If you look at meal timing and macronutrient choices, those help maximize body composition, and they help you feel better throughout the process. Better energy, maybe you're not as hungry, maybe you're too hungry. Like, they regulate those kind of components. So they're important. But the perfect training program, the perfect supplement protocol, none of those things matter if you don't even have the basics of nutrition. We should be trying to perfect nutrition and just having the basics of training and supplementation until we feel like we've maximized nutrition first. Then we would go ahead and we would maximize training and maximize supplementation. But nutrition can't be an afterthought. Nutrition can't be, I'm doing good enough on that, but should I have my hands neutral grip or overhand grip whenever I do lat pull downs? We're over-focusing on the nuances of training and supplementation when we should be focusing on the nuances of nutrition. So that's what I'd encourage you to do. Flip the script. Are your efforts in the right order? Should be nutrition first. If nutrition isn't first, you're not going to be your best. That's it. That's how easy it is. So if you want help with nutrition, we do have our free stuff on the internet, on the interwebs. If you go to our website, www.brutalirongym.com, we have a page there, free nutrition education. Click on that. The first document is create your own nutrition program. You can click that, you can view it, you can print it. It takes you step by steps how to set up the calories, set up your protein. It talks to you about meal timing, talks to you about macronutrient choices. So you can actually write your own nutrition program for free from our website. If you want good training programming, we do have our live monthly programming service, only $50 a month. You get brand new programs every 4 weeks, and you get unlimited education. You get personalized education. You can ask any questions you want, and I answer them. And then we also have our one-on-one services where everything's 100% personalized, and you get to talk with me every single week. So we have all those services on our website if you want to check them out. Again, it's www.brutalirongym.com. Okay, focus nutrition first. That's absolutely where you're going to get the most benefit. That matters the most. Okay. If you have any questions, feedback, suggestions, anything you want to know, email me at brutalirongym@gmail.com. If you like our podcast, please share the podcast. If you like the podcast, please consider donating to support the podcast, which you can do on our website. If you like the information we share in the podcast, you can find more from us on our social media channels. You can find us and please follow us on Instagram and YouTube under the name Brutal Iron Gym. I recently got some new microphones to use in the gym, like a wireless microphone. So I'll be posting a lot more teaching videos now on YouTube because I feel like the quality is finally good enough. So check out our YouTube page if you haven't, and you'll be seeing a lot more teaching videos along the way. Okay, as always, I hope this was helpful, and thank you for listening.